My name is Stacy Mobley. I am the events and rentals manager now, but when I started, when Tiggy was first around, I was a store associate. I knew that what a store associate did, so I was pretty accepting of that position. However, at the end of the interview, which I thought she was joking, she asked if I'd ever handled reptiles before, and that's when I met Tiggy. Tiggy was our mascot. She was a female iguana. She was about 4 foot long when I came into the picture. She was the first thing kids wanted to see when they came in and the last thing they wanted to see when they left. She was the first interaction I really had with reptiles, and I just really enjoyed how calm she was. Prior to that, I was not a reptile fan of any kind. When I first walked into the gift shop, I actually looked around before the interview and she didn't move. So I assumed she was some sort of art fixture at first, because that's not what you expect when you walk into a museum gift shop. After the interview, I came back in and that's when she kind of just turned her head a little bit and I knew she was real, so. But that was it. She just moved her head a little bit and that was her saying hi. They wanted some sort of mascot for the museum and for the gift shop. It was actually Janie McGregor. She was the store manager prior to the store manager who hired me. She is the one who found Tiggy. Once upon a time, there was a pet shop on Franklin Street. It was so long ago that I don't even remember it being on Franklin Street, and that's where they found Tiggy. You could hold her in the palm of your hand when they first got her. I didn't come in until she was about 4 or 5 years old. She had already tripled in size by the time I showed up. She was poised. She was a handful. She was very large. She was very sweet to the people that handled her and that she knew. She didn't really like to move around very quickly. She did scare a lot of people that way. I think they probably thought she was some sort of art fixture as well. Tiggy's cage was always located near what's now the entrance doors to the museum. She liked to bask in the sun under her heat lamps. Reptiles have to stay pretty warm. They're cold-blooded, and that's where she liked to be, right up underneath them at the top of her cage. We did let her out occasionally. She did like to stretch her legs in the galleries. Before we had the flooring that we have in there now, we used to have carpet, and she could really get grip on the carpet. We have some older videos of her running through the galleries and looking at the exhibits before anybody else got to see them. Occasionally, she would get snacks throughout the day of little treats and things like that. She would put on hats and we could pose her with stuffed animals and things like that for different pictures. If it was real slow during the day, I would get her out and she would just hang out on my shoulders behind the cash register, and that's where we'd hang out so she could get a different view. Iguanas, when you carry them, they like to get to the highest point, being on top of your head mostly. So she would crawl onto your shoulders, try to stack on top of your head as you walked through the museum to get her where she was going. Her claws, yes, so that is why we had to wear the fleece jacket. Her claws were very long and they could be sharp. That's how iguanas climb up on everything. So at one point they had gloves, but really, we needed an entire jacket. So we had a fleece jacket and you would just put an arm in the cage and she would crawl up your arm and just sit on your shoulders or crawl up onto your head whenever you moved her. She had a routine. She had a room in the back called Tiggy's Kitchen. Well, it used to be called Tiggy's Kitchen while she was here. It has a really large kitchen sink, basically. We would fill it with warm water. She would go back there, she'd soak in her water for 30, 40 minutes, however long she felt like. And when she was done, she was also potty trained, so she would use the bathroom and the water, and as she climbed out of the sink to where her breakfast was waiting on the counter, we'd spray her off and make sure she was clean and ready to be seen for the day. Routine. You have to continue a routine with it. Every morning she knew she was getting a bath and it would warm her up and relax her so much. That's when she would go. Lots of greens, lots of fruits, things like mangoes, papayas. We basically made her a salad every morning, a fruit salad. all organic. She also loved getting a special treat when we could find dandelion leaves. She loved to eat dandelion leaves. Well, every time we fed her, we made sure it was organic. If it's not organic, you run the risk of there being pesticides. Reptile bodies just can't handle that. She was a very healthy iguana. She really didn't have to go to the vet very often, but there aren't any reptile vets here in Clarksville, or at least there weren't at the time. And so we had to take her to a specialized vet in Nashville. So in order to keep from doing that, we made sure to feed her all organic. She loved to be spritzed throughout the day with water. Iguanas don't drink water, they soak it in through their skin. That's why they're found in wetter climates. That was part of the reason why she had a nice long soak in the mornings, and we would spritz her throughout the day, especially in the summer. It also helped when she was shedding. That was always a fun time. Her entire body would shed when she was getting bigger. Face, scales, everything would shed. So that was always the best time to spritz her and water her so she could help slough that off. But we would just help her as much as we could and then toss the the shavings, yeah. So the older Tiggy got, as we all do, she became less excited about all of the noise that was going on in the museum. Kids will be kids, and they like to come in and they would get so excited to see Tiggy that they would start screaming. If she gets aggravated too much, she will actually lift her head and shake her beard at you. It's the shaking of the head that she tries to warn you off. As kids would come up and they would scream and get loud, she would raise up and look at them and just shake her head, like, no, don't do that. Tiggy never was mean in any sort of way, but we knew it was time to find her a quieter place. Store manager at the time, Miss Penny, actually knew a family who had iguanas, older iguanas, and theirs had recently passed away. They were looking to adopt an older iguana, and it was kind of perfect timing, perfect match, and that's where I like to think she is right now, so. Correct, she did not pass away at the museum. It was a family that was living in Clarksville at the time, and then the family relocated to Texas. And it's funny because when they sold their house here in Clarksville, she was actually in pictures of their house on Zillow, on the back of the couch, stretched out in the bay window. It was quite funny to see. Oh, of course, I miss her all the time. She was a very fun part of the job, a fun part that wasn't expected, especially as a store associate and not in a pet shop. It's not a normal thing you see at a museum, but we enjoyed having Tiggy here, and our guests did too. Still have postcards in the store of Tiggy as well, so